Fantastic. Welcome, everybody. It is 7 o'clock. Tonight we are hosting our runoff sheriff's candidates forum. We are extremely excited. There are a lot of folks still entering in. A quick note, we will be closing the doors at about 15 minutes, in about 15 minutes, so that we don't have disruption. This evening, we will start with some housekeeping. We will then move on to the main event where we will hear from both of our sheriff's candidates, Mr. Willie Rowe and Sheriff Gerald Baker, who are both here this evening. Thank you, fellas. Once we get through with that, the candidates will have about 3 minutes each to close, and then from there we will move into breakout rooms. Frank Sokolowski will move everybody as needed, and then we will have some time to speak with these candidates in a less formal setting. Before we get started, I want to thank the volunteers who have been helping out with this and who are helping manage this evening. There are several. Thank you very much. I'd also like to thank Frank Sokolowski, our ED, for his assistance this evening as well. Some housekeeping. Everyone will remain on mute until we get into our breakout rooms. The hosts and co-hosts can mute and unmute at will. Both of our candidates have the ability to unmute when it is time so that they can speak. Also, we will be keeping time this evening. As we get to the questions, I will remind everyone what the time frame is for that. So what we hope tonight is for you is information filled and comfortable, and that you all get a better idea of who you may want to vote for in the primary runoff, which is July 26th. If you were paying attention to the slideshow, please note that only certain folks can vote in this particular primary runoff. You have to be a registered Democrat. You have to be an unaffiliated who voted a Democratic primary ballot, or an unaffiliated who did not vote in the original primary. If you did anything other than that, you will not be able to vote for either of these candidates. That's it. If you live in Cary, North Carolina, where there are 2 municipal runoffs happening, you will be able to vote for a candidate or both candidates, depending on which district you live in there. Also, please note that no one is able to update their affiliation at this time. There's a law on the books that's about 100 years old. So between primaries and primary runoffs, nobody can update their affiliation. So please be aware of that. So what I'd like to do now is to welcome our 2 candidates and give each of them approximately 30 seconds just to say hello, and then we will roll into the question portion. So I'd like to ask Sheriff Baker if he will say a quick hello to everyone. Sheriff Baker. Ask him to pop out and then pop back in. We're going to go on and move to Mr. Rowe. Mr. Rowe, if you'd like to say hello to everybody.
Good evening, fellow Democrats, and it's an honor to be in your presence. And thank you all for being here. Thank you to the Democratic Party for hosting this event. Thank you, Sheriff Baker, for your service and your willingness to continue to serve. And I'm just excited to be in the midst of so many great Democrats.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Rowe. We appreciate it. And while we're waiting for Sheriff Baker to get connected again, there will be 3 questions. They will go in alternating order. We have randomly drawn who will go first. Okay, so back to it while we're helping Sheriff Baker get connected. There will be 3 questions alternating. We randomly drew earlier who would go first. Tonight, Mr. Rowe will go first, and whoever goes first gets to provide the last commentary. Each question is 2 minutes for each person. 2 of the questions are exactly the same. The final questions are different, and again, 2 minutes apiece with a timekeeper. Then each person will have 3 minutes for a closing statement. That's 3 minutes. From there, we will transition into our breakout rooms. We will have approximately 20 minutes in the first breakout room. We will begin with a starter question where each candidate has up to 2 minutes to answer. Both candidates will get the same question, the same starter question, in the breakout rooms. From there, we will have an open forum where audience members can ask questions of the candidates. We want it to be more informal and have a good discussion. Each breakout room will have a moderator and a manager. We ask that everyone treat each other with the utmost courtesy. If at any time we feel that anyone is here for harmful reasons, they will be unceremoniously removed. So please mind your P's and Q's, because this is for the good of everyone. Call him, and we are going to go ahead and get started with the first question with Mr. Rowe. Mr. Rowe, are you ready?
Yes.
All right, so just to let you know, you will be spotlit. Our timekeeper, who is Mason Chambly this evening, will also be spotlit. This question is 2 minutes. You and Sheriff Baker will get the same question. I will read the full question one time, then I will read just the question kernel the second time. If you need it dropped in the chat, we will be happy to do that as well. Here we go. Wake County is very large with pockets of dense population. One issue that seems to be negatively impacting the Sheriff's Department is that a fulsome workforce of deputies is currently not available, leaving the extant deputies stretched thin. This in turn impacts response times. What steps have or will you take to mitigate this issue? How have or will you implement these steps? One more time. What steps have or will you take to mitigate this issue? How have or will you implement these steps? Are you ready?
Yes.
Very well. Timekeeper.
Okay. Good evening again. Yeah, that's a very valid question. There's a shortage of a concern of police officers and deputies nationwide. So every agency is facing the challenge of maintaining sufficient staffing in order to serve and protect the residents of their jurisdiction. You have to take a long-term as well as a short-term approach. The long-term approach is to conduct more academies so that you can fulfill those vacancies. The short-term approach is to bring back more retirees on a part-time basis, to expand the reserve program and allow officers who've retired from other agencies who reside in Wake County to work, volunteer their time and skills, and then to visit all the community colleges and establish a relationship there so that we can hire those people directly upon graduation. These are the things that we want to do. Your best recruitment tool is your employees, so you have to improve working conditions and morale and create defined paths of career development so that employees are appreciated, valued, have input, and are able to be successful. Thank you.
All right. Have we got Sheriff Baker situated at this point? Thank you, Mr. Rowe. I just reread it. I'll read it again. It had to do with Wake County being very large with pockets of dense population. The issue that seems to be negatively impacting the Sheriff's Department is that a fulsome workforce of deputies is currently not available, leaving the extant deputies stretched thin. This in turn impacts response times. What steps have you taken to mitigate this issue? How will you implement, or how have you implemented these steps?
Okay, thank you. This office over the last 32 years has been, not full capacity in terms of vacancies. Over the last 4 years, we've been short staffed, and we've been seeking and very actively trying to get those positions filled to make sure we're answering those calls. For this year alone, we've responded to some 61,504 calls for service to this office, and we've done it being short-staffed. You have to have the type of leadership and understanding that knows how to reallocate your staff and your resources to make sure that we are serving this county, and that's what this is about for me, is knowing how we'll take For example, our school resource officers, when they're out on summer break, just this week, for the last few weeks, we resource them out to help make sure that we're answering those calls for service. We're move from one section to another to make sure that we're answering those calls. And so that's what's happening in here. And we just had a career fair today trying to find qualified candidates to fill these positions. But it's not going to happen overnight, but we're actively trying to get them filled.
All right, thank you so much. Well done, under pressure there. Okay, so we're going to move to the next question. Sheriff Baker, you may have missed this, but we randomly drew earlier, and Mr. Rowe started with the first question. So that means he does get to go last for the last 3 minutes when you do a closing statement. So FYI on that. But this next question you will start, and I'm going to turn this question over to our Wake Regional Vice Chair, Elaine Okal, who will read it 2 times and then give you the go-ahead to answer. Elaine, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, Sheriff Baker and Mr. Rowe. So Sheriff Baker, you're first. Can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. Crime prevention and intervention comes in many forms. This is a 2-part question. What non-police programs do you personally think would work best and why? And the second part, what types of non-police prevention and intervention have you employed or plan to employ? I can put I can put this in the chat just as I just have to find chat.
I'll do it.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Sheriff Baker, go ahead.
Thank you. When we took office in 2018, one of the first things we did was form the Community Relations Division. And the purpose for that was to make sure that we were going out, serving our communities, trying to reach some of the issues of life that we face here in this office, trying to reach young people to help them make sure we're doing our part to steer them in the right direction. As to date, we are almost close to 100 events throughout this county where we've been involved in trying to do our part to go out and be positive influences over our young people. Everything from basketball events to going out and just talking with them, providing pizza and different things and events to try to keep them out of trouble. It is a huge reason why we made a decision to bring the DARE program back to Wake County schools in an attempt to be a positive image in our young people and our moving through our schools. We looked and saw the issues that we've been having from middle and high, so we cast them back out to our elementary schools in an attempt to get them to take another look at who we are and why we're there to protect them and serve them and to trust us as they move forward, and hopefully it'll make a difference once they get to middle and high school. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff Baker. All right, Mr. Rowe, for you, again, I'll read it. I'll read the question. Crime prevention and intervention comes in many forms. What non-police programs do you personally think would work best and why? What types of non-police prevention and intervention have you employed or plan to employ?
Thank you. If elected sheriff, I will establish a community engagement team that consists of highly trained, certified civilian personnel to partner with the current Health and Human Service Division of Wake County so we can address the mental health crisis, drug addiction, bullying, all type of incidents that make people feel unsafe. We'll be in the community to build that trust, establish that open and honest communication. Again, we'll train our officers so that we can join the police athletic and activity league, where deputies and detention officers, as well as civilian staff, will serve as coaches, as mentors to our at-risk youth and community to create opportunities, recreational programs, after-school weekend programs for mentoring, educational supplement, also teaching them life skills and creating opportunities for successful outcomes, working with the adults in the community as well. We're going to be a good neighbor and a partner so that people will trust and see the sheriff office as a partner in the community, working with all stakeholders to keep Wake County safe and create successful outcomes for everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Rowe. Madam Chair?
Thank you so much, Ms. Oakall. Thank you, Mr. Rowe and Sheriff Baker. I'm going to ask fellas, when you are not speaking, that you please mute yourselves. Sheriff Baker, I muted your phone, so I just want to give you a heads up that when it's time for you to speak, that you need to unmute yourself. We will now move to the third question. Now, these are two separate questions. They're individual for each candidate. Mr. Rowe will go first, and the question will be read by our Raleigh Vice Chair, Ms. Janika Pender. Mr. Rowe, she will read it 2 times. She'll read the whole thing once, but read the question nugget 2 times for you. I can also put it in the chat if you would like. Ms. Pender, are you ready?
Madam Chair, I apologize. I am not prepared to read that question.
That is not a problem, Ms. Pender. I can take care of it for you. All right, Mr. Rowe, are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Question 3 for Mr. Rowe. A few of the May primary candidates were significantly younger than you, Sheriff Baker, and former Sheriff Harrison. Some of these candidates touted their relative youth as a plus. Further, elected lawmaking and law enforcement positions across many elected leadership bodies skew older and male. What is your response to some who feel that older leaders should make way for younger leaders? And what, if anything, do you plan to do to encourage demographic diversity in the office? I will read the questions again. What is your response to some who feel that older leaders should make way for younger leaders? And what, if anything, do you plan to do to encourage demographic diversity in the office? You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Yeah, the true measure of success is to build a team with succession in mind. So therefore, you have to incorporate experience along with the youth and the energy of our younger officers. You have to solicit that input. You have to take it under advisement and put it in action, give them credit for the things they bring to the table. This is the type of leadership that I will bring, a consensus building type leadership that includes everyone seeking to buy in, seeking the input and ideas of how we can better serve, how we can improve each and every day. And so I will be committed to having a diverse department that reflects the population that we serve. It's important in our recruitment process that we are engaging all residents of Wake County, offering a welcoming atmosphere, and let them know that this is their sheriff office, that they are part of it, and all our policies, procedures, best practice will show that we are a partner, a good neighbor, and we're serving to the common good of all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rowe. Next, we will have our third vice chair, Kate Bixler, read a question prepared for Sheriff Baker. Sheriff Baker, please unmute your phone, *9, and we will get you up on the screen. Ms. Bixler, are you ready?
I am, Madam Chair.
All right. Sheriff Baker, are you ready?
I am, thank you.
Fantastic. I turn this over to Ms. Bixler and Sheriff Baker.
Sheriff Baker, in the May primary, all of your primary opponents cited various controversies during your tenure as sheriff as a main reason why they chose to run. Among the headlines have been questions about hirings, firings, promotions, and morale within the office. What can you share with stakeholders to explain this turbulence, and what is your plan for restoring faith in the Sheriff's Department? Again, the kernel of the question, what can you share with stakeholders tonight to explain this turbulence, and what is your plan for restoring faith in the Sheriff's Department?
Restoring the around what you said, the faith in our office began on December 3rd of 2018 when I was elected and walked in. The turbulence that you speak of, and those individuals who are out there who were members, and separation for whatever reason is out wanting people to believe that the morale is not good. It's actually better than it's ever been. I've been a member of this office again since 1990, and I've seen the morale up and down. It was bad when I came in. I mean, not bad, but you're going to have those issues, particularly when things are not going their way, the things that they want, and they've done things that cause separation, be it through resignation or termination. But instead of telling what really happened, they're going out to make people believe that I'm in here firing people. I hadn't fired a soul. Those separations have been caused were a direct result of some things that were not in line with the direction of this office, coming in after 16 years of 4 terms of incumbent. That was things were being done a certain way, and that was changed. That's what the people voted for. I knew that it would take a minimum of 4 years and some more to turn this office around and restore the integrity and accountability, and that's what they're speaking of.
Thank you so much, Sheriff Baker, and thanks to both of you for being patient through the technical issues. That shows a lot of character, and thank you both for answering these questions. At this time, we will now allow for closing statements. Each candidate will have up to 3 minutes for his closing statement. Our first up will be Sheriff Baker, and after that, we will hear from Mr. Rowe. Sheriff Baker, when you're ready, let me know, and we will have Mason up for timekeeping. And if I may check in with you for a second, he is also verbally giving you cues at about 30 seconds, just in case you can't see on the computer. Are you ready, sir?
I am.
Very well. Mason and Sheriff Baker, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much again. In 2018, my campaign and the platform were involved restoring the integrity and accountability, the transparency, and being consistent in doing those things each and every day, and along with the diversity of this office. Again, being here for 30-some years, I've worked my way through. A lot of my command staff right now are individuals that I've supervised from the day that they entered here. They have worked their way through this office as well. And so they understand, they know where this office has come from, and they know the direction that we're trying to go, and they're all in. And so that's what the future of this office and serving this county is going about: strong leadership, bold leadership, that's focused on making sure that this office and every member of this office is serving this county through this office and not ourselves. You don't know how bad things were prior to me taking office, but I was here and I experienced it all, and I was given the opportunity through the voters in 18 to come in and make the changes that they saw was necessary to make sure that this office is serving the people, and that means every community, every person that resides in this county, and doing it with honor and doing it with integrity and accountability. If you notice, the things that were going on in this office don't go on anymore, and that's why some of the folks are no longer here, because that change that was needed for this office has begin to get this office where it needs to be to move towards our future. And so I am honored, and I'm looking forward to moving to another 4 years to continue what we've been doing in terms of making sure that this office is serving our county. And that's what it is for me. I love it. You've got to love it. And so that dedication, that commitment is what I talk about every day to every person who comes in here as an applicant, those who are hired. It begins, that leadership and that understanding begins at the top. I want to make sure that everyone understands the purpose for being here, and that's to serve this county through this office. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sheriff Baker. Much appreciated. Next, we will have Mr. Willie Rowe. Mr. Rowe, you will have 3 minutes also to make your closing statements. Following Mr. Rowe's statements, we will have a short transition and then we will move into the breakout rooms. Mr. Rowe, are you ready?
Yes.
Very well. I leave the floor to you and Mason.
Again, fellow Democrats, it's such an honor to be with you tonight. And thank you so much for your continued support of the Democratic Party and its commitment to elect great Democrats to serve to the common good of all. Again, thank you, Sheriff Baker, for your service and your willingness to continue to serve. Thank you, Democrat Party, for hosting this event and giving people the opportunity to participate in the election process. Yeah, I'm running for sheriff because I just have a passion for public safety. I truly believe that people live life to the fullest when they feel safe, and only then can they experience the great opportunities that life offers. So I'm running for sheriff because your safety matters, you matter, and everyone deserves equal protection, equal opportunity, and equal access to overall quality of life. I'm running for sheriff to restore public trust and confidence in the sheriff office leadership, its commitment to serve and protect, to improve morale, to improve working conditions, to increase staffing, to build trusted relationships and establish open and honest communication with the community, to work together with all stakeholders to serve to the common good of all, to make Wake County the safest place to live, work, play, and visit, to just be the partner that every resident of Wake County deserves in their law enforcement, to know that we're here to serve and protect. We're not here to cause fear, not to cause harm, but to create, to work with stakeholders to create successful outcomes. So again, I'm just honored. I have a passion for public safety. I'm committed. I thank God for the opportunity, and I encourage everyone to come out and vote. Early voting are on the 26th. And again, just thank you for this opportunity. God bless you and good night.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rowe. We appreciate your comments very much. We're going to take a moment and transition to the breakout session portion of tonight's event. That portion is not being recorded, but this portion is. What's going to happen is in a moment, you'll see an end card come up on the screen. And then from there, Mr. Sokolowski is going to move us into different breakout rooms. There are 2 breakout rooms. For the breakout room number 1, Mr. Rowe, you will start there. Breakout room number 2, Sheriff Baker will start there. Fellas, the first session is 20 minutes because it always takes us an extra minute or 2 to settle in. There will be 1 question that is asked of both of you. That same question will be asked when we switch. When it is time to switch, we will get a 1-minute warning. Those of us who are participating tonight will stay put. Sheriff Baker and Mr. Rowe, Frank will pick you up and switch you and drop you into the other rooms where we will start the process again. That second session, there is only 18 minutes because there's not the transition time that we normally need. I will remind our audience members tonight that both rooms have both a moderator and a manager. We expect extreme courtesy at all times. We want this to be an open conversation where there's good information flowing. Feel free to ask your questions, even if they're hard hitting, but please, we ask for courtesy at all times. It is very difficult to go before the public like this, and I commend both Sheriff Baker and Mr. Rowe for doing so. Mr. Sokolowski, would you like to put the card up and move us on our merry way?